Is Up the Beanstalk going to be the next thing to break Legacy? Yes, I am talking about that uncommon from WoW. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and Mark gave me a donation deck list, so this is going to be my chance to try out Up the Beanstalk. So this is a card that when I first saw it spoiled, I was like, that's kind of interesting, but I don't think it's like super playable. When it enters the battlefield, you get to draw a card, and whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, you also draw a card. And when I saw this, my Stompy player brain immediately went to cards like Solitude. Casting a Solitude and then like getting to draw a card off of that is really good. And that's kind of the way that I first evaluated this card. And for the first hour or two after I read this card, I was like, yeah, that's kind of whatever. And then I started thinking about cantripping Force of Wills, and I very quickly changed my mind and got pretty excited about this card. So I want you to imagine the world where you cast a 1-mana board wipe that also draws you a card. I want you to imagine playing Legacy staple Leyline Binding, removing a creature for 1 mana, or really a target non-land permanent for 1 mana, and drawing a card. I want you to imagine casting Yorion, drawing a card, blinking your copy of Up the Beanstalk, drawing another card. And most importantly, like, this thing's not legendary, so you can control multiple of these. So imagine that you have 2 Up this Beanstalk, you cast Yorion, you draw 2 cards, Yorion enters play, you flicker 2 Up the Beanstalk, you draw 2 more cards. And I think Anuraag is somewhere just like salivating at the mouth at this amount of value. Now, today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, Eminence Gaming, and Cool Stuff Inc. And remember, if you need paper Magic cards, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order. So this is the deck list in all of its glory. This was cooked up by Anuraag Doss, known lover of death and taxes, as well as value-oriented control piles. So we have a lot of new cards in here. We have Orcish Bowmasters, we have the One Ring, we have 4th Airlingas, and then we also have our 4 copies of Up the Beanstalk. There is a lot of utility put into this deck list. We have a good amount of removal. We can kind of fog and protect against various removal spells. The life loss from the One Ring can be offset by an Uro attack, or maybe by bouncing our ring with a Teferi. And then we also have some side value plans. Like, we have Wasteland plus Life from the Loam technically in this deck, even though we only have 1 copy of Wasteland. And even though we only have 1 copy of a card like this, we also have Mystic Sanctuary that we can eventually go and fetch up in order to get this stuff back. Can't really fit the whole sideboard cleanly on the screen, so let me go ahead and do this here real quick. We're very mana hungry, so in these blue mirrors, we can go very heavy on Carpet of Flowers. And we also have some fun things that are good against these like various Beseech the Mirror decks that are going around right now. I expect those to be relatively popular, and we'll probably end up seeing one today. With that being said, let's go ahead and, well, okay, I should explain this one. So just so you know, like, this is a strong removal spell in the late game, but in the early game, we will definitely notice a difference between this and Prismatic Ending. And in order to really enable Leyline Binding to work, we do need all 5 land types, which means we are going to play some slightly questionable lands in this deck to make that all work out. Okay, now let's battle. All right, something, Island Ponder Keep. So in all seriousness, the hand is totally reasonable. We can Force of Will, probably pitching a Teferi to get through initial turns if my opponent plays a threat that I am a little bit scared of, and we'll be looking to ponder and find some more lands. And as a secondary thing, I wouldn't necessarily hate some removal. Basic Mountain. Okay, I don't know that I'm comfortable with what is about to happen, but Hopefully it's counterable. Ruby Storm doesn't usually play fetches, so that... Oh, are we... Oh, we're Goblin Engineering. How bad is that? My opponent has probably kept this hand on the strength of this spell. And given that I need a little time here, I'm going to go ahead and force. And if I trade Lotus Petal and a Blast for my force, I'm okay with that. Okay. So second land would now be super cool. No. All right, we hit second land. It is unfortunately not a green land, so I can't cast Up the Beanstalk next turn. But I can try to, like, ponder into a Source of Plowshares or something. All right. So this is going to get a Painter. And I'm kind of on notice, because Urza Saga represents Grindstone. I'm going to ponder. I do want extra lands. I want extra lands enough that I want to miss out on the opportunity to cast a removal spell. Let's shuffle. Did not find a removal spell, but I did find my next land drop, which is okay. The Saga ticks up. I imagine we're just chilling here. We're going to go ahead and island cycle this. I need green mana, which means Tropical Island. I am willing to cast a Brainstorm. Or actually, do I just play Uro and then use Uro to put in Veil of Summer? My opponent probably names blue with Painter. And then I just Veil to buy myself a turn. I would rather just find a Swords to Plowshares type card, though. Absolutely punished for not playing out the land first prior to the Brainstorm. But I did not know that my opponent was Black-Red Painter. My default is that opponents are not playing Black-Red Painter when playing online. Because Chaos Defiler is not online. Yeah, so let's like play... It's like bury an Uro, put a Terminus on top. Take a rather unfortunate amount of damage. Bringing me to 15. And we'll call it a turn. I'll hold up Veil of Summer for kind of the worst case scenarios. My opponent notably does not have an artifact. Okay, there's an artifact for Engineer. Sure. Yeah, that matters as the game goes really long for some things like Mystic Sanctuary, but is not really the end of the world right now. Sure. Let's see, so if I Brainstorm, I take 3 damage. If I let the Orc hit me, I take 4. But I would drop Veil. I'm going to take another point of damage to not drop Veil. Well, I guess I don't have to drop Veil. Alright, so we'll Miracle Terminus. We didn't quite have time to deploy Up the Beanstalk first while being safe. My opponent can make some kind of difficult decisions about how to proceed. Alright, so we cast this. My opponent could get like a Lotus Petal into play, but they do not. So I would probably like to hold up both Brainstorm and Veil of Summer. So that probably means doing this. Picking up an Uro, which is fine. Sure, you might draw your card. Opponent's operating on very few resources, generally speaking. Leyline Binding. White, green, black, blue, red. That is a 1-mana spell at this point. Fine dropping this. So I will go ahead and cast an Uro. This is fine. I am fine just turning this into another card. The Pyroblast fizzles. And I turn the Veil of Summer into a Terminus. Maybe not my ideal card, but it's fine. Do I want to cast Brainstorm now? Go with no. I want to cast it now if my opponent specifically has Orcish Bowmasters. Otherwise, I don't necessarily need to do that right now. Ooh. Is it fine to just have Leyline Binding up. Say yes. And cast Uro. Oh, it's another one. Sure. That's fine. Note for Mystic Sanctuary purposes, I should have left a different thing in there. Alright. Let us ponder. Also, Okay, casting a Brainstorm. And just putting a Terminus 2 down. Probably. Let's say that that's fine. Probably should have Brainstormed first this turn. Cool. Don't really have a way to shuffle. I think that's okay. Let's put Terminus 2 down. Uro on top. Play Xander's Lounge. Cast a second Up the Beanstalk. And now on my opponent's turn, I have Force of Negation available while also having Leyline Binding available. That's fine. And a relatively disgusting thing is about to happen. It's a miracle. So now, my Terminus cantrips twice, which is just absolutely filthy. 1, 2, 3, 4 things in graveyard. My opponent's enjoying what's happening here. Let's cast another Up the Beanstalk. Draw a card. It's a wasteland. That's just not okay, honestly. Yeah. Anuraag, this list feels good. So what would I like versus Painter? Veil of Summer is kind of nice versus Pyroblasts. My opponent can have up to 8 of them in their deck. I'll probably play more of those. I don't think I want to get this cute. I might play a Surgical or 2 to just kind of help out with the graveyard, because I don't have something like Endurance just kind of randomly chilling. Yeah, I don't know that I'm gonna board much. Okay, Orcish Bowmasters is actually not good. Orcish Bowmasters can become 2 more copies of Veil of Summer. And then, do I want a Surgical? Just a Miser Surgical. I could get rid of 4th Aerlingas, but I really like that card. It just turns the corner on a game so fast. I could maybe go down 1 Force of Negation for a Surgical Extraction. I don't know that I would miss that card, because Force of Negation doesn't stop a lot of stuff. This hand is kind of whatever. I'm going to keep it. I can Wasteland a black source to kind of stop an Orcish Bowmasters from going wild in the early game, or give a big middle finger to an Urza Saga, which I think I am down for. I will not reveal Terminus. And we'll go ahead and just take that out. So the scary part is that my opponent still potentially just has Ancient Tomb. And if their play is just Ancient Tomb into Painter, I die a good portion of the time if they have a follow-up land after that. Okay, nice. The worst case scenario did not happen. Ooh. So this can fetch a Grixis land and get me most of my colors. I am going to hopefully do that. Okay, there's Ancient Tomb. There's Painter's Servant. And now this can represent a Pyroblast. So, it's not actually the best here. My plan changes quite a bit. We'll fetch. And I think the way that this has to go is that this needs to be Savannah. And I immediately attempt Swords to Plowshares on Painter's Servant to bait out the blast that I am expecting. I can then fetch a Grixis land and cast a 1-mana Leyline Binding and take out the Painter's Servant. Yeah, so I needed to sequence my turns this way so that I could use my Savannah for white on both turns. Good stuff. And now from here, fuck. Yeah, that resolves. From here, I have a lot of mountains. No Terminus. 3 mountains, pass turn. So I imagine that that play results in my opponent winning at least 50% of the time. I have a couple of basic lands in my deck that I can rip. Yeah. Oh god, there goes one of them. That one is the one that hits Leyline Binding. Alright, which basics do I have left? I have Island and Forest. So, I just don't win without that basic plains, do I, right? Like, I need Leyline Binding to remove it, and I need white mana for this. I can't get to blue, blue, green, green for this. Yeah, I think my opponent just randomly milling my plains just won them this game. Can't get to white, white, or blue, blue. Can't get to black. Yeah. I'm donezo. Okay. Card confirmed good versus 4-color greed pile. Force of Negation comes back in after seeing that. Am I just not supposed to play this surgical? Maybe I'm not supposed to play the surgical. This hand's fine. This Brainstorm probably gets pitched to Force of Will. I need white mana. I also have to decide whether or not I'm respecting Blood Moon. It's very hard to respect Blood Moon while also turning on Leyline Binding, which is my primary source of interaction. I am going to play Misty Rainforest and pass. And I'm not really sure what I'm doing with it yet. I kind of want to get Savannah? Welder's fine for now. Yeah. So let's pick up Savannah. Island cycle this for an underground sea. Green, white, blue, black, red. And that will give me access to all of my colors. Oh, hell yeah. I wasn't expecting to rip that, but we'll absolutely take that. And play a land and pass. I can also just Mystic Sanctuary back a Terminus or a Yorion revealed in the not too distant future as well. I would love an Up the Beanstalk. Would love to cantrip off this Force of Will and Leyline Binding. Alright, we're just chilling. Uro is a fine play. Some portion of the time my opponent casts an Orcish Bowmasters right here. Not this time. I will play Mystic Sanctuary. Oh, fuck, that was a Savannah. I would have put the land in anyway. But I thought I was getting to put this on top of my deck as well. I don't have a second green for Uro. Don't have any basic lands in respect of Blood Moon. That is a painter. I will probably force that, pitching Force. I could just 1-mana Leyline Binding that, and then force a Pyroblast, actually. Yeah, that's fine. Ooh, everything is blue. The One Ring. I like playing that a lot, but could die because of it, so I'll be good. I could just Brainstorm here first. There's basics. We'll put back a land and the One Ring, and intend on playing that next turn. Yes, I will Swords. Got Force of Will backup if I need it, which I do. I wish I just had another white to just cast Leyline Binding, but that's not where I'm at. So we'll just go ahead and just make sure we clear the painter, because Grindstone is coming. And then I'll assume that the combination of the One Ring and Uro will fairly beat out an Urza's Saga, as long as I don't die to some combo nonsense. Okay, that's fine. It is a little awkward to play the One Ring into active Urza's Saga. I wish I had sequenced this with the basic land on top, so I could just cast Uro. But I think this is too good to not cast. Alright, I've got protection from everything. I draw a card. I'll make this land drop. I will pass the turn with Leyline Binding available as interaction. Yep. And I'm going to presume that I probably end up using Leyline Binding on a Pithing Needle. That's kind of what I foresee happening here. But this could also be graveyard hate to shove Uro out of the way, which is what my opponent is doing. Sure. We have protection from everything right now, so we don't need to worry about getting hit by the construct. And the life loss from the One Ring is not that big of a deal. Ooh. Like that. I'm going to draw first, though. Orcish Bowmasters is a thing. Yep. But there are a couple of different sequences that could happen where I would really prefer not to commit 3 mana immediately. All right. So we will go ahead and cast the Leyline Binding and remove the Orc before the One Ring draw happens. It is slightly awkward because it uses my white mana. But now Bowmasters is out of the way. So let's plan out the rest of this turn. Back Veil and Uro. Probably put back Veil and Uro here. I'm going to ponder and just like look and see if I randomly find a Terminus here. Find another Leyline Binding. I'm fine with that. So let's go Uro, then Veil, then Leyline Binding. No shuffle. Play this. Play Teferi. Teferi minus on one of these construct tokens. We'll redraw the Veil so that I'm not immediately dead to Painter combo. And we'll take 4 in this turn cycle. And then probably be pretty good once we untap with the ring. Sure. I'll take a little bit of damage here. Teferi goes away. Opponent attempts to activate Grindstone. I will Veil of Summer and fizzle that ability. I can now Leyline Binding away the Painter Servant and just be totally fine. All right, take some damage. Is not actually going to be a real problem. Draw some cards. Hey, here we go. So, 2 mana, Up the Beanstalk. Draw a card. 1 mana, Leyline Binding. Draw a card. Take out Painter's Servant. 1 mana, Swords to Plowshares, a construct token. Pass the turn with Drown in the Loch available, and then next turn I'll play Uro, and we're good from here. Yeah, let's just say no to that. Bam. I will take 1 damage here. Again, not that big of a deal. We've got the One Ring going. We'll probably draw another copy of the One Ring in the not too distant future. I think I'm confident enough that I do tap this again. Ugh. Sure. So I need another green mana here. Let's go ahead and fetch. Tropical Island. Blue. Green. 1. Cast Uro. Draw a card. No life, or no land, rather. Sacrifice this. Now, I am going to have priority as soon as Uro leaves play. And my opponent is not going to have a window to use Soul Guide Lantern to remove the Uro. They could junk my graveyard right now if they wanted to keep the Uro from getting into play right here. Which is a little bit concerning. But I think I'm just okay with that. Put Yorion to hand. I guess that's actually, like, blinking these is a little awkward. I need to leave up blue, black, and green. So I will put Yorion to hand this way. And discard some card. Discard 1 Terminus. Yorion is a way to blink this copy of the One Ring and make it so that that doesn't actually kill me. Okay, with taking some damage from the Orc, I don't want to drop the interaction that I have. Slightly awkward. But yeah, we will just counter that. All right, I lose some life. Oh, there's a new copy of the One Ring. That's great. Don't even need to play the Yorion now. So, cast the One Ring. And Fog. Keep this one. 3 cards in graveyard. Cycle this. Grab a new trop. Do this. Oh, I'm one card short in graveyard to do what I want to do. That's probably fine. Let's just swords this token. Call it a turn. 3, 6, 7, 8. I'll discard a Yorion revealed, I guess. Oh, I need to discard multiple cards. Goblin Welder can drown. Bam. That gets unearthed. Fine. Quite good. I have protection from everything right now, right? Like, I'm not crazy. That was this turn. Yes. Okay, good. Okay. Losing another land. And Dragon Engine goes away. We're not going to tap the One Ring, at least not right now. Got other things going on. Green, green, blue, blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can be more careful about these things, but I don't think I need to be. So we will just keep that from being countered. Get an Uro into play, which starts gaining me life. No land onto the battlefield. Pass the turn with some mana available. I kind of pretty easily just got my opponent's stuff covered. I'm going to be just a little sloppy so that I can just finish this game off. Life from the Loam's not really a card that I want to cast here. Not going to start drawing cards with this yet. My clock is the only thing that I super care about here. As long as I don't time out, I win this game like 100% of the time. We'll send on in. Sure. No land onto the battlefield. Hit my opponent for 6. Draw a card. Play land. The Drown in the Lock on top. Cast a Yorion. Draw a card. It's the Drown in the Lock. Prize. Exile this and this. Call it a turn. And discard the Life from the Loam that I don't really care about. So now I have my opponent on a 2-turn clock, so that should be very easy to work with. We'll force that so I don't have to think. Call it a turn. Deck's powerful. It's just very slow. Don't draw that. Hit my opponent for 10. Don't need to do any of that. Yeah, you can grindstone me. That's fine. All right. Opponent's at 6. I'll call it a turn. Discard a Terminus. And we have gotten the GGs. And after a little chat with the opponent, we're done. Eminence Gaming's Command Tower software is a fantastic way to run 4-player EDH or CEDH events, and it's also great for 1v1 tournaments. It has easy event registration, and there's no download required. Everything just runs in browser. The best part is that it's only $5. Visit eminence.events for details. All right. I have a little bit of an underwhelming hand here. I'm hoping that it's fine to keep this hand. I'm a little worried after seeing Underground Sea there. Because I just have, like, the suite of cards that is good versus creature decks here. Not good versus, say, Beseech combo or Doomsday or something. Does this immediately need to be converted into a land? I don't think so. Absolutely nervous. I guess my opponent could still just be like a scam deck, right? Okay. Yeah, so we are probably in that like scam / shadow general ballpark. Can't get Savannah and Xander's Lounge. I'm gonna have to do this over a couple of lands. All right, let's get Tundra. Let's Island Cycle for some green with a Trop. Okay. Now I will play this and pass the turn. I do have Drown in the Lock available as a counterspell if we are playing against a combo deck. And again, I don't have confirmation yet. The Watery Grave makes it very, very, very likely that we are playing against a Death Shadow deck, though. So I'm going to move forward under that assumption. This is sick art, by the way. From, I think, Unfinity. Ooh, my mana. Alright. And if they have anything else they want to play, they'll do so in a different phase. Sure. And a reanimate. That's fine. That can happen. I'll probably Swords to Plowshares that on my own turn. Yeah. Play around Daze. Grab a new Tundra. And attempt to take this creature out. I think it's better to do it on my own turn, rather than, like, wait and hope that Force of Negation can back that up. A bit of an awkward Force of Negation here. Is my opponent about to cast a Phyrexian Dreadnought? Do I have to counter this, or I'm just facing down a 12/12 that I don't have an answer to? Hate that. Hate that a lot. Alright. My call's wrong. It's not the best. This enters tapped. You cost 3 mana right now, so you're playable as of next turn. Yeah, that Wasteland cost me a lot of ground in terms of mana fixing. Another one would be devastating. Yeah, I think my opponent is a Phyrexian Dreadnought deck. Alright, so we will Island Cycle. I need to pick either Volk or Underground Sea here. I'll go with Underground Sea. I will play Underground Sea and drop an Uro. Daze. Okay. That makes sense. Alright, they have cycled on their own. Maybe getting Underground Sea was a bad idea. Like, I want my other colors for things like Leyline Binding, but I also need to respect the Uro that I have. Okay, well, there it is. I think my opponent has Force of Will for Uro. I think I just accept that trade. Oh, we're just done. Okay, so that was a Force of Will bluff, and I called it, and they were donezo. So we are playing against blue cards, so Carpet can come in. We're playing against black cards, so Veil can come in. We're playing against blue cards, so Pyroblast can come in. I've got a lot of things that I can think about here. So the force effects are probably going to be less necessary if I start playing things that look like this. So Force of Negation is going to come out. Some number of Force of Wills are going to come out. This Life from the Loam can be replaced by Carpet. Maybe I can board out all the Force of Wills. This would be 9 cards. I have 7 slots right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is probably fine. This is an unexciting hand. It doesn't really do a lot, but I've got 3 lands. Kind of 4. Like, I don't super care about a discard spell hitting me. I don't super care about a wasteland. Ooh, that's interesting. I think I am just kind of okay with the resources that are at my disposal. And I might do a pretty neat trick here. That's fine. Actually, I might not do the neat trick. No, I'm going to at least consider the neat trick. Let's pick up a Tundra, and let's cast a Brainstorm now before Orcish Bowmasters is available. I'm going to put a Terminus 2 down. I don't think I'm ready for the One Ring yet. So I can shuffle with Lorien Revealed if I would like to not draw 2 of these cards. Or I can just leave Terminus chilling on top, which I think I would rather do. So we'll redraw the ring. I'll play a fetch land and just pass. I'm probably not doing anything with my mana and just drawing Terminus. Like, that is actively my plan. Yeah, if this gets Thoughtseize, I can just get it back later. Yeah, take a look. I've lost Swords. Alright, so my opponent's just not playing creatures out. I don't really want to Brainstorm into Orcish Bowmasters. I also don't really want to draw this Terminus right now, though. I think I Island Cycle to get a shuffle. Assuming that this ends up getting green. Get, like, Volk. Or red for 4th Aerlingas. Found a Terminus anyway. Don't need to reveal that. So I'm going to make this land drop. I will cast Ponder into Orcish Bowmasters. Yeah, this is fine. I will draw my own Orcish Bowmasters. No shuffle. I've made a land drop. I'll just pass the turn. At some point, I can brainstorm and put this Terminus back on top. Oh, well, okay. Lands have changed. Bayou? This can be dazed, but it's too good of an opportunity. I have to just take this. Nice. Yeah. So this is going to allow me to shift into a beatdown role if I want, especially with 4th Aerlingas and the One Ring in hand. Murktide Regent is in play. And it's pretty big. Well, it was in play. So let's drop this land. Immediately attempt a Teferi. Played around a Daze. That is a force effect. I will brainstorm in response to that. Second Tundra sounds pretty good. White mana matters a lot. And if nothing else... Ooh, these are some cards. I'll just put Terminus on top of my deck. Cast that next turn. Bury Uro. Bury Brainstorm. Bury Brainstorm. Alright. So we'll call this good. And then next turn should be really gross, honestly. Assuming that my Terminus resolves. So my opponent knows that I have this Terminus, and probably would presume that it is currently on top of my deck. So we got 4 damage out of the Orcish Bowmasters. So we don't need to freak out about that not going super well. Let's play Carpet. I can now go up to 5 mana. I will use this ability. Let's just make green. And let's go ahead and just draw that extra card with Uro and gain that life. We'll get into that Brainstorm. We'll not put a land onto the battlefield. And I don't think that my opponent has Orcish Bowmasters. They would have played it in response to that. So I am just going to fire off this Brainstorm right here. Yuck. Put back Savannah. I played a land. This is turn 5. No, I have not played a land. I'll put the Mystic Sanctuary back into the deck then. And pass the turn. If my opponent plays out a creature, I can just put Terminus back on top of my deck. Alright, that was good enough for my opponent. Yeah, so we're going to get Uro next turn, and then some combination of these things in the following turns. It was going to be good. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and I personally keep all of my deck lists for every format on this site. I love that I can go and sort them by types and tags if I need to. There's a lot of different viewing options. It can give you some math about your mana symbol, your curve, and you can even playtest and do sample opening hands with it. Check this site out if you haven't before. It's awesome. My mana is a little bit sketchy here, in that I want Bant colors, and I only get 2 of those colors. But I think with a Force of Will to slow my opponent down with whatever they're doing available here, which is probably a like mono black Beseech Helm deck. Yeah, I mean, that's happening. See which one my opponent wants to take here. They're presumably taking 2, right? Like, Reanimate almost always follows this up. If they have Reanimate, they just take Force of Will the first time, and then... Yep. Probably take Leyline Binding the second time. Alright, there is the Reanimate. Honestly, taking Brainstorm might be better than taking Leyline Binding. Like, Leyline Binding is the answer to the creature, but... Brainstorm's Brainstorm. And I only have 2 or 3 different land types available as of right now. I don't think I'm ever wastelanding. We're just going to play this and pass. I can't really fetch yet, because I don't know what I need. I can make that decision after one more draw step, which is very much the plan as of right now. Yes, that occurs. Up the Beanstalk goes down. I might be wastelanding a wasteland here. Not the happiest about it. but I can't have this land, which needs to be a non-basic land, wastelanded. So let's do that. Wasteland your wasteland. Swamp Cycle in response. I don't even have to make my choice with my fetch land then. That's super good for me. I'm trying to draw another fetch land so I can just go Savander. So I can just go Savander. Because it's looking like if I end up taking this Grief off the table, I probably handily win the game. There we go. So I guess I don't need to do this until my opponent's turn. Stuff has flash. So, fetch. Did not get Dark Ritual Opposition Agented. Fetch. Savannah. Now at this point I can wait till combat. Sure. Nice extended art. So we will go ahead and attempt to take this off the table. We succeed. I mean, yep. Opponent has drawn one too many Thoughtseizes here. Uro goes to graveyard. Sure. So let's island cycle this for a trop. We're working on that blue, blue, green, green to go towards Uro. I am shields down to whatever my opponent top decks. I haven't seen any pieces of Leyline Helm combo yet. That doesn't mean they're not in the deck. But my opponent could be on a more aggressive build. That's an opposition agent. That resolves, which can make getting my last land harder. Let's try to find one. Yes. I think I go bam, bam, bam. No shuffle. Just remove that now. I have Uro next turn. Fourth land. Something like a Shouldered could come down, but it doesn't. That's huge. So, alright, blue, blue, green, green. Wasteland, Delta, Misty, Brainstorm, Ponder, cast Uro. This very potentially is the turning point of the game because now I have Force of Will protecting this Uro. So it's not like one crazy top deck like a Shouldered or something just swings this game now. Yeah. And this is kind of one of the weaknesses of the mono black deck sometimes, in that like Thoughtseize is really good at the beginning of the game, but in those mid game and late game situations, it just it just falls off in power level a little bit. So I'm definitely looking at Veil of Summer here, and I'll probably be thinking about Surgical Extraction as well. I don't think I'm going to mess around with something like Lavinia. With my opponent's specific build, I don't know how excited I am about Force of Negation. That's going to become 2 Veil of Summers. Orcish Bowmasters is maybe not particularly good unless my opponent has their own Orcish Bowmasters, in which case it's very important. My opponent does have Wastelands. I don't know that I really need Life from the Loam, though. I'm going to get rid of that for 1 Surgical. It's kind of feel good versus fair decks. And that's probably by design, honestly. Is 1 Surgical enough? I wouldn't hate 2. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to cut. Nothing deck's perfect. This doesn't have the white mana that I want. I still think I probably keep it. It has a Bowmaster for a Bowmaster. It has 2 pieces of removal, assuming that I don't just eat an early opposition agent. Okay, it is just to pass the turn. That is white mana. Very happy to see that. I think I'm going to Sorcery Speed Ponder. There's something to be said about fetching white mana immediately. But I think I'm into Sorcery Speed Ponder. With Savannah, Leyline Binding is castable next turn. That probably means that these cards are fine. Probably means these cards are fine. No shuffle. Again, opposition agent would make things awkward, though. Alright, Lightning Bolt worth the damage to my opponent's face into Douthie Voidwalker. That is fine. Grief is also fine. It could get a little weird if they take my 4th Aerlingas. That's not something that I want my opponent to just be able to fire off willy-nilly. I guess I just immediately removed Althea Voidwalker and things are okay. Oh, they took Swords to Plowshares. Sure. Wasn't super expecting that. I will grab Savannah. And we will be perfectly happy with 2 mana Leyline Binding here. Oh, I'm not happy about that Wasteland. I guess I have Lorien Revealed on top of my library. Oh. Sure. And that's just going to let me cycle for an appropriate land. Another Bowmasters. Wait, I thought I had a Lorien Revealed on top. Did I do a shuffle? Guess I did a shuffle. Oh. Yeah, my Bowmasters are going to be a lot better than your Bowmasters, unfortunately, opponent. So this play explains why they took Underground Sea out over Savannah, by the way. Sure. Alright, I will eat 2 points of damage. I think I want to fetch in this turn cycle. I want to pass turn. Before my opponent draws, I think I just want to try to stabilize my mana. So, long term for Uro, I want to Trop. More short term, I want a secondary white source quite a bit. And I think that's the most important thing. Could get Bayou. Bayou contributes to Orcish Bowmasters if Xander's Lounge is wastelanded and is green towards Uro. Okay, I'm going to get Bayou. Alright, 4th mana for my opponent. Alright. You become the Monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses 3 life unless they discard a card. If you're the Monarch, instead each opponent loses 6 life unless they discard 2 cards. Got it. Okay, so I want to attack my opponent. Sure. Alright. I got some work to do. I don't think it's going to be a problem, though. So I will cast an Orcish Bowmasters. I will ping my opponent's Orcish Bowmasters. My opponent is the Monarch. They will draw a card. I will then ping their Orc token. And guess who has 2? Alright. So at this point, I think I just go in harder on killing my opponent. Like, I can 4th Aerlingas for X equals 2 here and probably just close the door on this game. So I just attack for a very large amount of power here. I'll become the Monarch 4 times. 5 times. I will draw a card. So I can either lose 3 life or discard a card. I'll lose 3 life here. Chains of Mephistopheles. Sure. And my opponent concedes the match. GG's. Okay, this one's a little tough. If I find another land, specifically a green land, I think this hand is really good, so I think I'm just going to keep it. But some portion of the time, I will cast Brainstorm Lock myself, and I'm screwed. So I have acknowledged this, and we'll acknowledge that and move on. I'm just going to get my tapped land out of the way on turn 1. I think that's going to be pretty important. This opens up Orcish Bowmasters on turn 2, but takes away Brainstorm for Force of Will on turn 1 if my opponent goes for some turn 1 combo kill. That does not happen. So I'm going to go ahead and just play a land and pass. Might fire off Orcish Bowmasters in response to a fetch, but I'd rather respond to a cantrip with it, and I don't think I have to play it immediately. Sure. Brainstorm. Damn it. So it looks like we're playing against something in vaguely the Delver ballpark. Could be a show and tell matchup just as easily. Yes. So let's island cycle this to get Tropical Island. Play that. And I think it's okay to do this. It drops Orcish Bowmasters. I think that's okay. I'm gonna get dazed. I'm fine. I'm totally fine trading this for hardcast days here. Ooh. Less fine with what just happened. Alright. Whatever. Let's just draw a Terminus next turn. I can also just play 1 ring into 1 ring, I guess, and that is very reasonable. I can also just like rip another spot removal spell. And that becomes okay, too. I don't like this pause. This pause makes me think that they have another violent outburst, and they're thinking about whether or not they would like to do 2 additional damage to me right now. Alright, I'm down to 12. And am definitely scared. A Force of Will or Force of Negation is very strong here. Okay, that's fine. That makes them better versus single target removal spell, but worse versus a Terminus. Worse versus a Terminus! Miracle indeed. Don't force me, I guess. Nice. That was obviously pretty huge. That was an important turn. And I now have Mystic Sanctuary to put it back on top for when I need it again. Let's plan the rest of this. Let's plan the rest of this out. Okay. So I will put Terminus as my top card. I will draw it if I need to. Otherwise, I fetch it away because I can just put one back on top with Mystic Sanctuary and then draw it with the One Ring. Yes. Did I mention that my copies of Terminus cantrip? I don't know if I mentioned that. Reveal Terminus. Cast Terminus. There's now a land on top that I don't really want. I'll go ahead and fetch. Grixis plus white-green, so I'm good. That means I'll just grab a Trop, I think. For Uro purposes later. Draw a card. Force of Will is okay. So I need to make my land drop. All Mystic Sanctuary. I'm going to put a blue card on top. I'll pick Brainstorm. And I'll go ahead and cast the One Ring so that I can draw that Brainstorm. And protection from everything doesn't hurt either. Opponent's waiting to pay costs on something that's 1 mana? That doesn't make any sense to me, because their deck doesn't have 1 mana cards. Because they have to build around these Cascade cards. Simian Spirit Guide, you may resolve that. I will just Swords to Plowshares that, that's fine. I'll take 1. It's not that big of a deal. I will draw some cards. Actually, I can just probably Orcish Bowmaster it. Drown in the Lock is fine. Drop by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards. I regret playing my land. It's whatever. I think we're to the point of the game where I don't really need to overthink things very much. As long as I leave up black and blue, I'm good. We'll put Yorion to hand. Pass the turn, discarding like a Flooded Strand. I've got Force of Will and Drown in the Lock and Orcish Bowmasters. My opponent is suspending a card. I don't care about that. I'm fine going aggro here. I say as I put 2 power in play. Alright. Bam. Sure. I will go to 8. Veil of Summer is fine. Crash in for 2. Opponent goes to 17. Play a land drop. Target Lorien revealed. I don't think I'm actually going to put that on top. I'll draw some cards. I'm going to immediately flicker that with Yorion. Ooh, this is good. That'll give me a kill next turn. Need blue-black available. These will do fine. So, cast Yorion, draw a card. I guess I could have left green available, but I just have counter spells. 1, 2, 3. Move to end of turn. Petty Theft on Yorion. Meh. Alright. I will, I guess, use a Drown in the Lock on that. Bowmaster, ping my opponent, draw a card, and then we'll discard some lands. One's at 16. Discard Misty. Discard Island. How many counters does this sucker have on it? This one? Yeah, 3 counters on it. That's fine. This game's over far before then. I don't even think I need to be drawing cards with the One Ring anymore. Yep. So, my opponent has some stuff like Murktide Regent that Pyroblast matters for. It doesn't counter the Rhinos. Hopefully that's fine. Veil of Summer's fine. Pyroblast is fine. Surgical Extraction getting rid of Rhinos is also not crazy. Lavinia countering Rhinos is dope. So Lavinia's great. This stuff I can think about. Orcish Bowmaster is probably not at its best here. I don't think this is going to be a Carpet of Flowers matchup. I could consider one or two to better play around something like a Blood Moon. Those 2 Bowmasters become Lavinias. That's easy. Doesn't feel like a Life from the Loam matchup. Just pile O, removal, and counter spells seems fine. This first one is going to be a Pyroblast. If I board more, I'm not sure which I want. This honestly seems fine. So this has Force of Negation for a set of Rhinos that's played on my opponent's turn. It has Source of Plowshares for another large creature. This is fine. I wouldn't say that the hand is insane or anything, but I'm comfortable. You have double Spirit Guide? Oh, you're suspending Crashing Footfalls. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, this is just going to be land pass, not casting Ponder. I guess let's pop this out. Second basic land, which definitely makes me a little bit nervous in regards to something like a Blood Moon. Savannah is fine to supplement this. So I can then get, Xander's Lounge, and then all of my things are on for Leyline Binding purposes. My opponent is a couple turns away from this, but I should expect a spell to happen. If my opponent has Violent Outburst, they should do it in my upkeep before I get to play a 3rd mana. I will not reveal Terminus. I will just play a land and pass. All right, there is the Violent Outburst. Opponent cascades, and I will respond to that. I now can't get Xander's Lounge. I can get like a Valk with one of these. Both of these need to get blue. Like Valk and Underground Sea. Probably be fine. That's for the second one. And I do have to hardcast this, unfortunately. But it doesn't look like my opponent had the counterspell, which is good. Then I can hopefully just kind of weather the storm for a turn or two. Ooh. So that's a Crashing Footfalls. And there's another one coming next turn. That's a lot of damage. Try to set up another Terminus. You're awkward in regards to this stuff, but great in regards to that. So what do I want to do? I can ponder and try to find a Terminus to clear both of these. But I think I just play Lavinia and get another white source, like get a Tundra, so that I can just source the Plowshares as well. That's fine. It does take me off green, but can't have it all, right? So white, blue, cast Lavinia. Okay, my opponent does not have counterspells. So knowing that, I can now cast this. Oh. Yeah, am I willing to set up... Like, am I willing to take 8 damage to take out everything with Terminus with Veil of Summer back up next turn? Or alternatively, I still just Swords to Plowshares to save 4 life, knowing that the One Ring will bail me the fuck out. Yeah. And I could even set it up to draw the card with the One Ring on my opponent's turn. Yeah. All right. No shuffle. I've made my land drop. I'll pass the turn. I won't Swords yet until, yeah, this happens. I'll Veil of Summer. It's actually going to make me draw the One Ring and then draw Terminus on my own turn. Cool. So my opponent casts that, and then it gets countered. So I can save 2 points of life by blocking Shardless Agent. Then Terminus can be countered. I have to think about how I feel about that. Honestly, fine. I'm going to save the 2 points of life. Because if Terminus gets countered, I just play the One Ring. And then play another Terminus. So cast that. Eat the tokens. And then I'm just going to assume that this finds me some way to win the game. I'll draw my card immediately. Sure. Like, if nothing else, I can Yorion bounce it and do the traditional Up the Beanstalk things. Just have to be wary of end of my turn, cast Violent Outburst, get Rhinos. That's the thing that currently beats me. Okay, now that doesn't beat me anymore. Do I sorcery speed draw? Let's go no. Let's Mystic Sanctuary, target Force of Negation, and then I could draw that in response to Rhino stuff being cast. Or my opponent's going for it right now. Oh, it's an Endurance. Sure, that's fine. So you clear my graveyard. That fizzles. I'll draw 2 cards. It's a new copy of the One Ring, which is really nice. So let's just Swords Endurance out of the way. Yes, cast Ponder. I don't need another One Ring that soon. Let's try to find an Uro. Cast a new One Ring. Keep this one. Get protection from everything. Draw a card. Is this an opponent controls? This is an opponent controls. Spirit Guide is fine. We've got that one covered. All right. Yeah, I'll reveal Terminus. That's fine. We'll take out that Spirit Guide. I'll draw some cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's all fine. Fetch. Grab Trop. Play Up the Beanstalk. Draw a card. Put Yorion to hand while leaving up white mana. And then that'll be my way to take the counters off the One Ring so that I don't die to it. Right, that's just more mana for my opponent, which is not going to be what they want. All right, I take 2. Down to 4. There's Leyline Binding. I guess before I play the Yorion, I can draw 3 cards. Seems okay. All right. Make land drop. Play this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Immediately draw a card. All right, my opponent fetches. They're going to hard cast it Force of Will, and then I'm going to Veil of Summer that, and we'll move on with our lives. Yep. This is the best Veil of Summer has ever been in any deck that I've ever played. All right. Draw a card. Do Yorion nonsense. Blink the One Ring. And Up the Beanstalk. Already made a land drop. Wealth of Riches. Draw a new card. Discard Delta. Discard Lorien Revealed, I guess. Discard a Swords. Fuck, I have to discard so many cards. All right, so I casually have 4 removal spells that all cantrip and a counter spell that cantrips. And I don't think I'm going to draw cards off the One Ring. I don't think that's necessary until I get Uro to help me stabilize my life total. Actually, I don't want to. No, I can cast that. That's fine. I can just hard cast a Force of Will if I need to. A Violent Outburst. Sure. Uh-huh. Yeah. So for anyone not familiar with what just happened there, my opponent did not have another copy of Crashing Footfalls to reveal because 2 are in the graveyard and 1 is in exile. They're only playing 3 copies in their build here. So that meant that they just didn't have anything to hit. And given this, I'm not surprised they conceded. We are now playing for a trophy. I'm gonna keep. It's like a tiny bit sketchy because I don't like Drown in the Lock is Schrodinger's counterspell / removal spell where you don't really know whether or not it's going to be on. I'm going to assume that it will be and keep the hand accordingly. Let's talk about this. Yep. So I'm playing against lands. My opponent probably has a turn 1. Oh no, it's a Sylvan Library. Sure. Okay. What basics do I have? Plains, Forest, Island. Forest, Island. I can get a couple. I'm going to get my basic. I will cycle this. This is going to pick up Underground Sea or Drown in the Loch later. This is always going to get my forest. So I guess I am not holding up Drown in the Loch this turn. I'm just kind of unhappy here. My 5-color mana base Greed Pile does not want to play against Recursive Wasteland. That's just not where I want to be. Let's see what's happening. Oh, cool. It's not lands. It's like a Knight of the Reliquary Elvish Reclaimer deck. My chances of winning versus that are a lot higher. So let's fetch. I will just grab a forest again. I will island cycle this, pick up a white source, grab Tundra. Uro's cool. I would love for Volcanic Island to get wastelanded, probably. No, I need to Drown in the Loch, so that means playing Underground Sea. No, I already figured this out before. Brain is just catching up to mouth, or vice versa. Wonder if opponent has crop rotation. This is a relatively long pause. Negative. Or at least they didn't use it. If opponent takes more off library, I would. Maybe the cards aren't good. Honest to goodness, Flagstones, Magic. Knight's fine. Am I getting wastelanded? Yes. Oh. So I can reduce the cost of this by 3? I play Tundra, Forest, Island, Lanes? Yeah. More than happy for actual Oblivion Ring to take out that creature. Sylvan Library is very good as well, but I can't beat the Wasteland Machine right now. Like, I have 2 very mana-intensive things that I would like to do, and I need to get one of those into play, and then we can start thinking about answering Sylvan Library. Notably, my opponent's deck probably has somewhere on the order of 2 Boseijus, and maybe some other answers to permanents. So Leyline Binding is not 100% to stick around forever. No more cards drawn with Sylvan Library again. With a stage in play, I do have to start respecting the fact that I could immediately die to a combo finish. So if my opponent does not have crop rotation, the thing that I want to play is Uro. If my opponent has crop rotation, the thing that I want to play is the One Ring. And so let's do the thing that doesn't die to crop rotation. Let's do this off of Volk. Yeah. Let's get protection from everything for a turn. Nice. And just immediately draw my card. That's probably not great in this matchup, especially at this stage of the game. Well, actually, I guess there's Sylvan Library in play. JK. Oh, the rare Legend Rule My Flagstones with Thespian Stage line. That does not come up a lot. I do have more than one Underground Sea, right? Yes. All right, now opponent's taking some damage. Big Green Sun? Big Green Sun. So, okay, it is just another Knight. Oh, and another play. Okay. Man, this is such a good Terminus turn. All right, lose 1. It's another One Ring. That's fine. Let's draw some cards here. I need something. Up the Beanstalk is not what I'm looking for. I can play another copy of the One Ring, but I start getting wastelanded, which is annoying. I think I'm going to play Uro and try to get my opponent to spend some resources Bojuka bogging me. This also just gives me an opportunity to get a card deeper and draw a Swords to Plowshares. So let's do this. I would love to hit Swords to Plowshares to stop Knight of the Reliquary nonsense. And then I'll play the One Ring on the following turn. All right. Drop a land. Sack an Uro. Don't have anything that I want to Mystic Sanctuary right now. And I think I'm going to play Orcish Bowmasters off Bayou. And this just makes Sylvan Library worse and gives me some chump blocking bodies for Knight of the Reliquary. Note that the Sylvan Library trigger is optional. Ooh, that's very good. Ooh, wow, going to 4. That's a very good Thoughtseize. It takes this 1 ring, which I was very much hoping to use next turn. Opponent's dead if I find 4th Aerlingos, though. 1 in 59 chance. Well, no, that's not true. I have a couple extra draws. They might not attack, depending on whether or not their build has Sejiri Step in it. I guess they're 1 mana short of that, right? 2 to activate Reclaimer. Yeah, they're short of that. Ooh, a crop rotation. They're going for the Bog immediately. You take out my Uro. That is acceptable. How many of these are swinging in? Neither. All right, so I lose 2 life. That's not what I'm looking for. Let's draw some cards. There's a Terminus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can just hard cast a Terminus. When it has 0 cards. Hold on. If I hard cast Terminus, I die to Merit Lodge. I can't do that right now. I need to find something that beats that. Awkward life total from the 1 ring here. Okay. So let's take a redraw with Up the Beanstalk. Take a redraw with Up the Beanstalk. Oh god. So now we start getting into the sketchier lines. So now I cast Teferi. I could bounce Leyline Binding and then always have... This can't target my own stuff, right? Yeah. I could bounce Leyline Binding and then always have an answer to Merit Lodge and then Terminus next turn. Bounce Leyline Binding. Okay. Play Tundra as white source. Pass turn. All right. The opponent is not going for a Merit Lodge-based line, which they could have done by activating Knight of the Reliquary. I guess they still can. I guess some portion of the time I die if my Orc gets removed. Okay, what is on 2? Fiend Artisan, Collector Oof. Gaddock Teague would be a kick in the pants. Are we at the point where Gaddock Teague is main decked because of Beseech? I hope not. I'm gonna let that... Maybe I should brainstorm. Do I have 3rd Tundra? I do have 3rd Tundra. Is 3rd Tundra in exile? 3rd Tundra is not in exile. I could brainstorm to see if I can find Force of Will and blue card here. I'm not gonna do that. Fuck. Non-creature spells with mana value 4 or greater can't be cast. That's most of my deck. I will need to find Swords to Plowshares to answer Gaddock Teague. Alright, I am being attacked by both of those. I will absolutely just block the Knight and take 3. I'm at 15. And I'll do an end of turn brainstorm and try to put back some of these lands. Oh fuck, that's Source of Plowshares. That's so good. Put back Mystic Sanctuary and Terminus. That'll stop in my upkeep. Lose 3 life for the ring. Attempt, and I do mean attempt, Swords to Plowshares on Gaddock Teague. And we see if they have Sejiri Step. Okay, it's happening. So Terminus is currently a card that's on top of my deck. I would really like to cast that Terminus. I am going to try to hit another Swords to Plowshares with the 1 ring. I will reveal Terminus. Oh my god, it is another one. So, I will Swords to Plowshares, Gaddock Teague, in response to the Sejiri Step trigger. I will then fetch the final Tundra out of my deck. I guess this can be Savannah. Fuck yeah. Oh, I feel really good about that win. Play to your outs. Holy fuck. No sideboarding? Probably no sideboarding. All right, so Mystic Sanctuary this early in the game is awkward. I guess I could play it tapped on turn 1, fetch a black land on turn 2, and maybe kill something with Drown in the Lock. I'm gonna keep. I don't think this hand is insane. My opponent's already mulliganing once. I guess alternatively, I can just play Delta and Lorien Revealed to get to my second land on time on turn 2. I have no idea what you're supposed to take if you're the opponent here. My hand is kind of generic. I am not surprised that it is that card. I don't want that. To attempt to brainstorm into fetch next turn, I am going to do this land tapped. Get rid of this stop on my upkeep. Oh, nice. I've got a tropical island now. Green Sun's fine. That gets a Reclaimer. Let's brainstorm. We're not in love with these copies of the One Ring. One of those is going to go back. Xander's Lounge probably goes back. Although I might end up just fetching it out anyway. So I could get... Well, Leyline Binding doesn't necessarily have to cost 1 mana next turn. No, I would like it to cost 1 mana next turn. Oh, I already have Forest. Okay. Oh, fuck, I was supposed to fetch. Sorry, I got caught up in my head. So... let's fetch. I want green mana. All right, no, I guess I have green mana. I guess I care about number of types. Tundra goes +1. Flooded Strand keeps it the same. Now, I guess I can do better. So my opponent's going to wasteland me right here. I could Leyline Binding right now. Or no, I can't. That's fine. I'll float a mana. Now I can just get a new Tundra. Tap for green. I'd Leyline Binding this now, but they would just protect it. So I'll just play Up the Beanstalk, and then next turn I can 1 mana Leyline Binding. Yeah, 1 mana Leyline Binding next turn is fine. It will cantrip as well. Now my opponent could rotate away their Yavimaya to make my stuff worse. Because I haven't been fetching in a way that actually gives me green, because they're giving me green. Game's fucking wild. Ooh. Crop rotation potentially represents a kill from this point. So I'm going to play this. Probably just Leyline Binding Elvish Reclaimer at end of turn. Yes. Alright, so they junk Flagstones. Find Scrubland. Now they're going to search for Dark Depths. Or sorry, Thespian Stage. Oh, they're going Wasteland. That's fine. I'm going to Leyline Binding, draw a card. Ooh, love that draw. I will take out Elvish Reclaimer. When my opponent wastelands me, I can immediately replace the land with Lorien Revealed. Yes. I think you're supposed to go after Tundra. They agree. And Dryad Arbor. If I can set up this Terminus, that'll be cool. Let's grab Tundra. Force of Will. That's nice. That, in fact, might be nice enough that I wait a turn to try to draw another blue card. Or actually just, like, fetch and put Yorion in hand to back that up so that crop rotation doesn't blow me out. Yes. Let's fetch. Grab a trop. Keep those islands flowing. Oh, fuck. Force of Will doesn't actually back that up. I just gave my opponent another turn to draw crop rotation. Gaddock. Fuck. It's hopefully not a big deal. Alright. I eat 3 damage. Go to 14. Drop Tundra. pass. I'll do Swords to Plowshares in my opponent's upkeep before they have another look at crop rotation. Nice. I could just force that. I'm going to just force that. I think I just need to buy a little bit of time to get this One Ring stuff going and get to the point where I can hardcast a Terminus more safely. The Yorion is one of my primary ways to win the game, but I've got other stuff. Let's do this off this land. Play the One Ring. Get protection from everything. Draw cards. See if I hit Ponder specifically. I don't. Pass turn. Got Leyline Binding for Merit Lodge now, and I can otherwise just Terminus away a board of regular creatures. Yeah, that's fine. You're not supposed to attack with that. I have protection from everything, but that's an okay mistake to make. Draw some cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be 6. The Terminus is a little risky, I guess, in that crop rotation is punishing. But I think I'm going to respect my clock here and just take the game action. All right, they're gone. Nice. From here, I should be pretty safe, assuming I don't die to my own copy of the One Ring. That's fine. Yeah, I'll just need to find like an Uro or something. Okay, Swords is fine. Draw cards with the One Ring. Oh yeah, that's great. Play Wasteland. Wasteland Dark Depths. I could play another Up the Beanstalk first. I don't think it matters. I'm definitely discarding cards this turn. I've already played a land. 1, 2. I guess I'll leave up white. 3, 4. Cast a new copy of the One Ring. Keep this one. Be good with that. Pass the turn. Discarding Polluted Delta and a Veil of Summer. I have Life from the Loam in my deck right now. No. I'll draw a card here. There's a Force of Negation. We'll do that. Force of Negation. Pitch 1 copy of Uro. Leaves my opponent down a land. Sure. I'll take 1 from the One Ring. Play Bayou. Play Uro. Gain some life. All right, and that is good enough for my opponent to concede. That will give us the undefeated 5-0 finish with the Bean. Legacy's changed, folks. This card might even be better than Beseech the Mirror in Legacy. And I am going to use the caveat in Legacy right there because, you know, Vintage exists and Beseech the Mirror gets to tutor for some really, really broken stuff in that format. I am very happy with this deck list. It felt incredibly good. I was skeptical about the main deck Veil of Summers, but they were very good throughout this league. Just very nice in those blue mirrors, very nice versus black discard, Orcish Bowmasters, all that sort of stuff. This is a scary blue soup pile. Expect to play against it a lot. This deck or something that looks a lot like it will probably be very popular in Legacy. I do worry that it's win condition light, but as soon as you find an Uro or a 4th Aerlingas, you can turn the corner so hard, and the Yorion chilling in your sideboard, in your command zone, so to speak, like you always have access to at least something that can swing for points of damage. So it looks win condition light. It's maybe actually okay when it comes down to it. This deck is great, and I'm not even the best blue mage, right? Like, I objectively made plenty of mistakes that I identified and talked about, and I caught others that I didn't talk about as well. So there are also going to be mistakes that I didn't catch. This deck is just objectively incredibly powerful, but I don't want to play against more Gaddock Teaks. That was horrifying. Folks, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Let me know in the comments down below kind of what you think about the build, and if you end up needing any paper cards to finish this deck list, like your Up the Beanstalks, check out Cool Stuff Inc. Use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order. Have a great rest of the day. See ya!